Okay, I love going to concerts just to see the band that I like. Well, I guess that's what we all go to concerts. But what I really love is going to see one particular band, but yet really being blown away by a band that I didn't really go see the show for, but I was going to stay anyways, but I came out enjoying maybe even more.
Long ago, five men set out from their own paths to achieve their own destinies. Now they are brothers, united under one cause. Alone they are strong, together they are unbreakable. They are bonded by metal.
I know that was a complicated opening, but let's set the groundwork for you. I love the band Overkill. Probably my favorite of the thrash bands of the 80s, and maybe just one of my favorite bands of all time, but that's not a discussion for here. However, seeing that they were going to be on tour, I immediately had to go see them at the Palladium in Worcester, Mass, which is just a perfect venue. I can't say enough about that venue. However, anyways, we're not talking about the Palladium. We are simply here to talk about the Thrash of the Titans tour. So, as we all know, I think the Big Four is often up for debate, and I think grossly overrated with the exception of Megadeth. I find it's when you look outside the Big Four that you find some of the best of the thrash bands. And that being Overkill, being one of them, obviously Exodus could be up there, but I digress. Overkill being one of my favorite bands, I had to go see them, but I don't need to repeat myself. However, realizing that the headlining was Testament, a little skeptical because I'm not, or I wasn't the biggest Testament fan at the time. Never really cared for them, but since I was going to pay for the show, I figured I might as well stay to see it. And obviously, I would probably be taking some flack if I didn't stay for Testament with some of my co-hosts. So I figured, why not stay, see them? I'm paying for the show. Let me give them a listen to see if I like them. Well, and it's funny that I did that because that's kind of how I got into Judas Priest. You see, I originally saw Judas Priest for the first time open up with, Sabaton opened up. And I was just going for Sabaton. But I figured, let me start listening to some Judas Priest. And the thing was that I became more excited to see Judas Priest than Sabaton at a certain point. Now, that didn't happen in this case, because I was still more excited to see Overkill, but I went ahead and I started listening to Testament some, as something I never really did, as I just, for some reason, never really cared for them. However, listening to some of their earlier outputs, especially, I really began to like Testament. Not necessarily on a super scale, but I definitely thought they were good, and I was enjoying it. Now, that being said, I also started listening to the band Destruction, who was obviously opening for everybody, but, and I enjoyed what I heard, but, Testament and Overkill, I was really, really excited to see. So, anyways, this is kind of how I thought the concert went. Now, obviously, we got to talk about Destruction first. One of the Teutonic Four, which is a whole video in its own right, but Destruction opened, and I thought Destruction was really, really good. They were loud. Obviously aggressive, and it was a really good way to get you fired up. And, I think sometimes when we see some openers, we're really excited for what comes next. And again, me not being a big Destruction fan, or at the time not being a big Destruction fan, or just kind of just barely known about them, I think is a better way to put it. I was quite impressed with how good they were, and it was a very good opening act. It was very energizing. It got you awake. It got you going. Again, it was loud. I cannot stress enough how loud it was. A very short set, but I thought it was a good set. I mean, at least the music was good. Not that I'm that familiar with it. And now, so the next band that leaves us with is Overkill. And this was the one that I paid to see. I wanted to see. I was so excited for. A little disappointed by the shortened set, but those 8 few songs that I got were just so good. One of the best performances I've ever seen. And actually down a guitarist, as I believe it was Dee Dee, is currently out of this tour, and their other guitarist is also out. So they were down to a substitute guitarist and a substitute bassist. So And somehow not only did they make that work, they flat out just kills with it. Just absolutely incredible. Blitz's voice is just obviously top notch and pristine. I think he's 67 or 66. Somehow still sounds like he did when he was young. Just absolutely baffling. But again, we're talking about a crowd that's already hyped up from Destruction. A really good opening act got the crowd alive. And now all of a sudden Overkill comes up and gets us even more into, again, loud. It was very, very loud, very aggressive, and you could just feel it, just like absolutely just pulsing through you. Again, Overkill, I gotta say, one of the best shows I've ever seen, and I will absolutely go see Overkill again. And if Overkill is touring near you, you need to go see them before this band is no longer a thing. Okay, now we get into Testament. This is the part where I have just a lot to say. Again, I'm gonna back it up just a little bit. Understand where I'm coming from.
You what?
Someone who's not really a Testament fan, enjoys their music, really trying to go see Overkill, right? And not knowing a lot of Testament songs, right? Again, that's on me. It's just I haven't really took the time to dive deep into them. So going in, kind of just expecting just to sit.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Going in, kind of just expecting just to sit there and just, okay, I'm gonna enjoy it, but will I really enjoy it? Well, folks, absolutely one of the best, and I mean the best shows I've ever seen. Probably one of the loudest. I think the only band that was louder that I saw was Armored Saint. But holy cow, they were louder than Destruction and Overkill. Like, they were just so freaking loud, and just the amount of the power and just the vocals and the musicianship was just top notch. And I have to discuss the set list. Oh my gosh! Again, I know I'm not familiar, so I'm getting this from some of my co-hosts and just around the web about this set list. They were doing the classics, new stuff, old stuff they haven't played in years. And it again, for someone who's not in the know, it was a very, 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 very good set list. Again, I wouldn't, I don't know things like Practice What You Preach or Over the Wall really by heart. So, for me, not being familiar, I was captivated. And I walked out, and I gotta tell you, Testament is a band that I'm going to be listening to a lot more now, because holy cow, that made me a really big fan. And I think that says something. When you go in not knowing anything about the band, right, or not being really familiar with them, and then you walk out loving them, I think that just says a lot about a band. And I think that's to a band's credit, because I think there's a lot of bands that you may not know about, and there are definitely some that I have seen do this. Bands like Ministry. I'm trying to think. There was one I saw open for Alice Cooper and Judas Priest on the recent tour. It was Corrosion of Conformity. It just bored me. I wanted to go in and liking them, but it was whatever to me. I wanted to move on from it. Testament and Destruction, two bands not being really familiar with. No, I wanted them. I didn't want it to end. I walked out, and I am hooked on them now, right? So, yeah, that's what I've got to say about this. Yeah, the Thrash of Titans tour. If you get a chance to go see this thing, you got to go see it. It is one of the best shows you will see. It's actually one of the best shows I've ever seen, period. And I think it might get my number one for shows of 2026. It's going to be hard with Skeletor, the second leg of that, but yeah, this will definitely be up there as one of the best shows. But it's gonna have some competition coming up later. With you got Iron Maiden and Megadeth, you got Wasp and KK's Priest. Hopefully these are things that I will be able to review to you guys. I can't wait to get into those. But yeah, this is gonna be a contender for the best tour of the year. But that's really all I got for now. Till I rear my voice in the next one. Live hard and stay free.